master suite is a space you should really love since we spend so much time there, but it's often one of the last rooms that we give our design attention to. So in today's Dial a Designer series, we're focusing in on that master suite and helping one Studio 5 viewer dream up a bedroom she and her husband will both love. Lauren Oviatt with Oviatt Designs has been hard at work on a design board. We get to sit back and learn along. So who's the lucky viewer this month?
So Heidi is our viewer. She's the lucky gal. And she has a bedroom that just needs some love. She has some good bones. We're going to give her some really good ideas to give her a jump start and make it special.
Heidi's going to be listening in as well. In fact, let's bring her up via Skype. Heidi is dialing in from Salt Lake City. Okay, Heidi, describe your bedroom and the trouble spots that you'd like to see fixed.
Well, that big wall is a trouble spot for me, and I want it to feel spacious, even though it's a small space. And I just want it to feel more warm and inviting.
Warm and inviting. I like to ask this question, and Lauren does kind of straddle the line between designer and psychologist. How much input does your husband want in this, or is he just giving you free rein?
Rain.
Oh, lucky you.
That's the best kind of husband. I love that. That means all green lights ahead. So yeah, let's charge forward.
All right, we're going to dish over your bedroom space. Heidi, you listen in. Lauren, you talked about the good bones in this room. What makes this such a good bone space?
Heidi has a great paint color going on. She already has the good white shutters, and I actually really like her bed. So we kind of keyed off her bed. But what I'm coming up with for her, because Heidi mentioned in the submission that she and her husband both love the coast, they love the beach. And so that was kind of a natural progression for me to pull a color palette. Maybe not so like here's sand and shells from our trips to the beach, but more like the nuance of color, of texture, and those things that reflect a coastal feel without it being so contrived.
I think that's an aha, because I've told you this before. We vacation to Newport Beach every summer, and I always come back wanting to redesign my whole house coastal. But here I live in Utah, right? Queen of the mountains, and so it doesn't quite fit, but the color palette you say can translate.
The color palette works, and we're going to show in a second the design board that I created for Heidi, but I took kind of the key off her black framed, kind of that dark wood framed headboard and bed that she has, and bringing in some natural textures with that. So the color palette I came up with is black, the accents of black and dark metal, cream, raffia, kind of this straw sandy tone. And then really with coastal, it's all about texture. So not a lot of color, but kind of a modern take on this coastal look with the addition of kind of those dark, punchy black accents. And now this is the board that you're seeing.
Oh my gosh. I just gasped out loud, Heidi. We're looking at this together. I know Lauren described the board. You pulled in those colors. We saw the inspiration photos. This is dreamy.
Thank you. Well, Heidi doesn't have a ton of space. So what I gave her was, and you'll see on the corner, a sconce over nightstand. It creates a lot more space without the bulk of an actual lamp. If Heidi has some room to shift the bed to the other wall, she might have space to put a dresser under that window, which I think would be nice. It's always nice to have other pieces of furniture in the room besides the bed. If she has room for an end of bed bench, that would be awesome. But the main thing that I wanted Heidi to have was just more richness. So the gallery wall idea of pulling either pictures that she's taken herself, maybe candids of she and her husband or kids or family members on the beach, framing them sort of in an eclectic way, different shapes, sizes, and if they can fit over the dresser, that's great. If the room needs to stay the way that it is, then she has that blank wall and she can fill it with just a great gallery wall of images that are special to her.
That will fill up that space she was worried about. I'd love to pull back the design board back up if we can, because I noticed her headboard it's upholstered, right? It's beautiful. What can we do above a statement headboard like that?
You know what? I love the idea of putting some art there. The mood picture that I pulled is kind of more about texture, but you see this great sort of hit of that coastal picture. It doesn't detract or distract at all, but what it does is it adds some presence and some real punch to this focal, and in any bedroom, the bed is the focal. So I like what they've done here. It's a little bit heavy. I don't love to put vases and candles over a bed for obvious reasons.
That's not a fun way to wake up in the morning.
You know, I think the other thing that's really interesting about this mood photo, why it grabs you, is because of the texture. And I think Heidi could use maybe not a lot of color on her bed, but more texture. So different patterns in white, or maybe her favorite blue if it's a quilt that she can put at the end of the bed, and then match it with one larger big pillow on the bed. It doesn't have to be fussy, but I think again, when you think about coastal, it's about linens, washed cottons, maybe like a chunky throw that you'd have on a cold beach day, that kind of a thing. So not necessarily bright color, but neutrals that feel very rich.
See, and there's another big aha, I think, for at-home designers who are listening, because do we often make the mistake in personal spaces to try to blow it up with color in hopes of creating interest, but you're saying do it with the texture.
Well, so many of my clients will ask me, when do we bring in the color? I'm like, when you do that, that's all you see. So if you love color, you have to really be committed to it. And if you want that neutral, very flowy, very like your eye travels across the room kind of a space, you need to be careful with the color. And what I usually will do is bring in art that has a little color, botanicals that have green
Small
or a great
doses.
color. Yeah, because it's not distracting, it only adds.
I learned a lot just in that little lesson right there. All right, Heidi, you've been listening. I'm smiling from the inside out for you. What do you think of Lauren's design board?
I love it. I didn't think about moving the bed to the other side, and I would love to have a bench at the end of the bed, so I'm going to try to do that. And the texture on the bed, that sounds perfect to me.
And that color palette, is that dreamy or what? We're going to never get you out of bed in the morning. You can just lay there all day and soak in that beautiful scene.
Yes, it's beautiful. Thank you.
All right, Heidi, we would love to see follow-up pictures as you start to implement some of these ideas.
Okay, I will do.
Thank you so much. You're a master. This is so fun to see your brain at work. That's the other part of this series I love, is Lauren's brain just falls out and we all just sit back and say, So one lucky viewer a month gets to go through this process, but how can we access your design services year-round?
You know, we have a good Instagram. We've been trying to push people there because it shows what we're doing currently and kind of what we're excited about. It's Oviatt Design Group on Instagram. We have a retail space in Farmington that's small. It's more like a design studio. But we love when people come in and say that they've seen us and ask us for advice, opinions, and help. So
they're the best. They're the best. Thank you so much. Can't wait to see that bedroom when it's finished. I'm ready for mine. Do I qualify?
Let's do it.
Okay, no.